thank you for joining us today. We're going to be settling in and doing a workshop on Copilot in action, real scenarios for managers and teams. So thank you for joining us from all around Australia and beyond, perhaps. We're really happy to have you join us for our next Copilot session. As I said, my name's Sarah Wheaton. I'm not the expert. I am the MC, and you'll see me usually at the front desk here for all of our Copilot workshops at KMT. So what's in store for us? Over the next half hour or 45 minutes, we'll be exploring how Microsoft Copilot can help managers and teams spend less time chasing information and more time acting on it. So rather than focusing on features, today's session is built around real workplace scenarios that many of us experience every week. Managing projects, keeping teams aligned, following up after meetings, and preparing updates for our stakeholders. So let me introduce to you, let me give a bit of an intro for our speaker. Bharath has been joining us for the last couple of sessions, so he might not be new for some of you. So we've got Bharath here. He's the Microsoft Business Applications Business Unit Lead at Pax8. Pax8 is our Microsoft partner. Bharath, he brings extensive experience across AI, cloud platforms and automation, helping organisations understand emerging technologies, how they can be applied to solve real business challenges. So in today's demonstration, Bharath's going to walk us through some practical examples of Microsoft Copilot in action, showing us how AI can support managers and teams in their day-to-day work. He's also going to show us some examples of how you can use agents and how you can create them and use them across different Microsoft experiences to help automate and streamline common tasks. So we're very happy to have Bharath, which is where I do introduce Bharath. So welcome, Bharath. Thanks for coming back this month for your next workshop with us.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me again here. Really great to see some familiar faces in this call, who've been following our Copilot sessions over the last few months. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly take control of the slides. Cool, awesome. All right. So before we dive in, let me quickly frame what we are going to cover today, right? So you know what to expect. So everything today is built around your role, the actual work, you do on a week-to-week basis. I mean, it's just not about talking about the Copilot abstract features. So what we'll see today is how Copilot can help managers, track progress, surface the insights that they need to lead, and at the same time, we will also see examples on how project leads or project managers can make use of Copilot and see how efficient Copilot can be for them to make sure they are able to deliver the projects on time, help them to manage the project team efficiently and better. So there are a few topics which we'll be covering as we go through the demos. So one is the workflows that are built around your role. So when I say workflows, it can be your day-to-day operations, in terms of how you work with your productivity applications with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and some of the common examples in terms of how can you turn the meetings into momentums, rather than having the decisions that are done in the meetings to just die away. How can you make use of Copilot to actually turn those into momentums? And pretty much about, how can you, have a new way of connected working with your teams in a more collaborative way. So those are the core themes which we'll be looking today, and hopefully at the end of the session, you will probably understand what is the traditional way of working and the Copilot, the difference that the Copilot can make, onto your day-to-day basis. And towards the end, we will be sharing a few prompts, from the examples that you're going to see today, so that you can actually take back, just after the call and pretty much implement, straight away and see the value of benefits if you're already using Copilot. Cool. So moving on. So I just wanted to start with this one idea or one sentence this whole session is built around. So most of the teams don't actually lack information. So they're actually drowning with data and information that are available to them. So what they actually lack is the alignment. If everyone is working from the same picture, but the time that they actually take to act on that information is pretty low. So the the status of something is usually is sitting in their inboxes, in their Teams channels. The decisions are pretty much buried with the amount of information that they are overwhelmed with. So the action item, was mentioned in a meeting, but it just quickly gets forgotten. So one thing to understand is the information exists, but it is just scattered, and nobody has the time to pull it together and turn it into a action or a movement. And that gap, between, say, we have this data or information, and the gap between to actually we have acted on it, is actually where the project gets slipped, or the managers lose visibility, and the teams actually fall out of alignment. So it's not actually a knowledge or a data problem. It's a coordination problem, is what I see. And coordination is exactly where, Microsoft Copilot is actually built, or it's actually made available to everyone to take that issue or reduce the gap of your plate. So today's session isn't about a product tour about Copilot, or talking about multiple features, or just talking about the portal of the Copilot. It's about, we'll be going through few real scenarios, right? So that kind of happen every week or every day, and actually see where Copilot can actually help turning these scattered conversations into coordinated actions. Right. So the way we will be running this session today is, we'll be doing some personas. So we have picked two specific roles for today's sessions. First, we will actually follow a project manager, who's wanting to keep a project on track, and then we will also use a team manager, who's wanting to stay across their team, and wanting to keep their team aligned. So for each of these tracks, I will actually show and explain you what is the messy before, or what is the traditional way that we normally use to work, and how the same job is actually done with Copilot. And then, as I said, the exact use cases you can actually take back to your own team straight after the session, and implement them straight away. So please do drop the questions in the chat as we go. Happy to make this as a more interactive session as we normally do. So everyone, so we just make sure that everyone gets the value out of these examples and the use cases.
Yeah, great.
All right. So moving on. I just want to introduce Alex to everyone. So I'm going to be the new Alex for the next 10 or 15 minutes. So Alex is a project manager. So as we go through these examples, try and replicate the same situation that you face on a day-to-day basis, and so you can come up with the questions that you have on, and actually see the value. So I'm going to be the Alex, who's the new project manager, and I actually run a Northwind, migration project with my team. So one of my key responsibilities as a project manager is to keep the project status updated. But one of the challenge that I do have is the status is normally scattered. It actually lives on Teams channel, a couple of email threads, probably a status document, or a project plan spreadsheet that all project managers use. So two scenarios that we will be covering in this particular track is, how can I, as Alex, as a project manager, get one current picture of the project in seconds, and the other one is, how can I use that information, to actually turn into more actionable items, right? So how can I use the data to keep my project status document updated that I can send to my client owners? So those are the two scenarios which we are going to look today, and see how Copilot helps me to gather these information and create my project status report in a few seconds or few minutes.
Hopefully everyone else can as well.
So before I actually show you
Good.
the actual demo, I just want to show you few information in terms of how scattered the information is living around. So basically now I've got a Teams channel, around this migration project which I ran. and I've got few email threads that are sitting in my inbox from last week that I haven't read on a Monday morning. And then I've got a few other documents, for the project status report that I normally use to update and send it to the client. So as you can see, this is my Monday, right? Um, and and I don't have enough time as a project manager to, read all the chats, to read all the emails, and to toggle between different applications to actually gather the information. So on a normal basis, I actually spend say, the first half hour of Monday just stitching this information together, and probably another half an hour to actually retype the same information into the report that I need to send it to the sponsor. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Copilot and see how Copilot can help me to actually get those information to give me a single picture view of what the current project status is, and help and ask Copilot to write a report on my behalf. So everyone would have been aware of this UI. I mean, the UI which you might have and which you are seeing on screen might vary because I'm using the new design of the Copilot app. So this is basically the Copilot app. And if you're not sure on how to start a chat with Copilot, you just click on this new chat button, and you can just ask a question to Copilot. So um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a prompt to Copilot so it can actually gather the information and give me that single view picture of my project status. So to do that, I have already created a prompt and I've got it stored into the prompt library. So I will get to this prompt library towards the end. So you understand the value of how you can save time to write this bigger prompt and have this saved and have this scheduled. So every morning, it's the
Mm.
information is already there, so you don't have to do it again and again. So um, cool. I'm gonna choose this prompt and just walk through this. So I'm gonna just tell Copilot to give me a status summary of this project, right? And I'm gonna tell Copilot to pull the information from the project Teams channel, my recent emails, and the status document. So the key information that I'm looking for as a project manager is I want to know what's progressed since last week, what is blocked, and who's responsible for that, and then what are the top three things that I need to raise in my upcoming stand up on Monday morning, right? So this is a prompt. I know it's probably a longer prompt. I've got a tip slide towards the end in terms of how to write the effective prompt, but you can pretty much have this prompt saved and scheduled in your Copilot app and have this run every Monday morning. So as I said, you can have the status update right when you start your work. So I'm gonna hit send. So we'll just wait for Copilot to work on. So as you can see, I'm not doing anything, right? So I'm not opening my Outlook. I'm not opening my any Teams channel. I'm just in my Copilot app straight away on a Monday morning, and I'm just running this prompt to get my project status update. So what Copilot is, one of the main features with Copilot, like security is always on top of Microsoft mind, when it comes to using these AI tools. And because Copilot is actually grounded within your M365 ecosystem, and it actually securely reads the data, that's sitting with your email, in your OneDrive, in your Teams and SharePoint. So the data isn't exposed, or it isn't being shown to everyone. Cool. So it nearly took me 30 seconds, for Copilot to gather this information. So it has given me a clear executive status, right? So it says that the project status is at amber. It is at risk, but it is still manageable because of there is some sign off that's been pending with the client approval, which is actually blocking the project status. And then it has also given me the brief information in terms of what's been progressed since last week, right? So the staging has gone live, which is great. One of my team members has confirmed that in the Teams channel, which is also awesome. And it has also given me the details in terms of the support modules that's been deployed, the smoke test that's been passed. So these are the typical information that a project manager might, might need on a from project status perspective that a project manager needs to report, or I need to report to my client, right? So, and it has given a nice table in terms of what's blocked and who's the owner of that particular blocker, right? So there are three blockers that's been there. One is the data migration sign off, and there is an escalation to the client sponsor, and there are a few UAT things. So, and it has given me a clear picture of what are the three things that I need to raise with my team in my upcoming stand-up. So so with by using Copilot, you can walk into a meeting with a more backed up data rather than going into the meeting in terms and then talking details that's been sitting in your memory. So that's one of the advantages with Copilot that you can see here. So this is one track. So for as a project manager, for me to get this information, I would have probably need to spend probably 30 minutes to 1 hour to actually go through my Outlook, go through my Teams channel, go through my project status document, and so on. And with Copilot and with having a prompt ready, it just pretty much took me 30 seconds to get this information. Cool. So now here's the part that I really want you all to see, right? So because this is where it actually Copilot stops behaving like a search engine and starts being like a coworker, right? So Copilot has just told me everything that's changed from last week. So normally that's the moment, normally I want to update the same information into my project status report. So from a traditional, working model, I would have to open my Word, maybe do some copy paste of this information, put it in the status document to send it back to the client. But what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to open the project status report and I'm going to ask Copilot to do it for me. So it has gathered the information, it has gathered this scattered information across different apps, and I'm asking Copilot to write the same information to my status report. Cool. Let's see what happens. So got as a project manager, I use a template for reporting my status report to my clients. So this is an example of the status report. So this is basically a report from my previous week, right? So I have actually sent this report to my customer last week. Now this is a newer information, and I want to report on the status of what's happened, what are the risks, what is the overview, what are the milestones, and what are the next steps to my client. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Copilot. So in terms of how you can access Copilot, we've got this little icon on the bottom right. So you click on this icon, and it's the same stuff, right? So you can actually have the prompt saved, and then you can actually give the prompt to update the informations that we need.
As you have that in your clipboard, can you just pop that prompt in the chat,
yes,
please, for us? Because I know
So,
that people like to interrogate it.
100%. Now, towards the end, we've got all the prompts that will be shared today, and few more other tips, that we'll be giving out to everyone, so they could actually take those prompts, back and work on it. So what I'm telling Copilot is I'm just asking Copilot to update the status report, keep the structure and everything same. And I've been specific in terms of what needs to be updated, right? So I want Copilot to update the RAG status, just update the milestones, and then update the risk and the decision logs. It's pretty much the same template that I've got here. So what I'm going to do is, just for this demo purpose, I'm going to click on the track changes so we can actually see Copilot working and editing here.
And you've had to select allow editing across the top if you would like it to make those changes actively.
I will get to that feature in a moment. Yeah. So sweet. So it has just given me a summary of the proposed changes. So it's still, you can still have the human in the loop in between, right? So now, whereas a project manager, because this is a client facing document, we need to make sure that the information that we put is accurate, and we don't want to have any false information at the same time, even though Copilot is gathering information within our ecosystem. So you can actually quickly review and make sure the information is right, and then you can just tell, yes, apply
Mm.
these changes. So now you can see here, Copilot is actually updating their document. Like, we are not manually typing or manually editing the document. So it has gone in, it has gathered the information that is scattered, it has pulled the information, and it has written a project status report for me that I can pretty much send it back to my customer. So if you look at the amount of time that it has saved, it would have probably taken me,
Mm.
back and forth into multiple apps, do some copy pasting of the technical terms, because I'm a project manager, I'm not technical enough. So do some copy pasting on the technical aspects and pasting it back here and making it look nice for my client. So, and I would have taken probably an hour or two to get this
Mm.
completed, on a real day scenario. But for me, with Copilot, I was able to do it in, say, what, 5 minutes or 10 minutes now, which is a huge time saver, for a project manager in terms of managing a project, and helping them to manage their teams efficiently as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that most project managers have more than one project on the boil. So
Yes.
this is going to be super helpful for them.
Yes. I'm also gonna give sort of a homework prompt or an example prompt, in terms of how can you use the same Copilot, that can actually summarize the project meeting that a project manager has, and actually, assign the action items to the relevant owners, right? So, and one of the reasons is it's actually the meetings to momentum pillar, right? So meeting used to be where work gets discussed now, but now we can actually use Copilot to actually have the work, to set in motion, because the decisions can be captured, the actions can be actually assigned to the owners, and the team can be kept informed in terms of who's responsible for what. So I'm just going to quickly toggle back to Copilot and maybe start a new chat. So just so that it's neat. This one. Okay, it's not here, but I'll put it over here. I haven't saved the prompt. Okay, so I'm going to put this prompt in the chat, and I want
Please.
everyone to try and see uh, what they can actually see, on their from their project meetings and everything. So one of the tricks that I would like to show here is, so here in this prompt you can see, it says summarize this project meeting, right? So it's really important you be specific in terms of what you tell Copilot. So if you're able to, point out to the exact project meeting, and one of the ways that you can refer a project meeting to Copilot is, put a forward slash, and
Mm.
you're going to get this little icon over here where you can actually refer a people, refer a file, refer a meeting, and you can actually go to the meeting that you had with your team. You can select the meeting and run the prompt. So I just want everyone to try this prompt, come back with feedbacks in terms of what they get, and then, and how it is actually helpful to make sure that your project team is, responsible, and assigning the ownership to them on the task. Cool. All right. So that's my project management world, right? So it just helps me to keep my project moving. Now, actually, I would like to step up a level up, to moving on to the next track of the team manager, right? So which is probably different from the role of being a project manager. As a team manager, I would like to stay across my whole team. You know, look after several projects. You know, keep everyone pointed in the same direction. So for that, let me stop sharing. Do we have the slides again on screen here?
Yeah, we can bring the slides back up. So Charlie, if you don't mind, Charlie in the background, my secret agent here at KMT, she can share the deck back on screen. And if you can't see it, I can see it now. So I'm hoping that everybody in
Yeah.
the audience can just give us a thumbs up if you can see the slide deck on screen. Great. And then you can take control, Barath.
Yeah. Cool.
Beautiful. And thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the cheery thumbs ups.
Great. Awesome. Now I would like to introduce everyone to a new person called Sam. So now I'm just moving away from project manager. I got promoted, now I'm the team manager. I pretty much manage a cross-functional team, a little bit of sales, a little bit of, having a team of sales, a little bit of delivery here and there. So, but the problem that I have, right? So, because I want to oversee a lot of teams, and one of my responsibility is to keep the team aligned. But at the same time, now I just don't want to spend my time to live inside every threads, every meeting that each of my team members are having. So we'll be covering two key scenarios here. So one, how I can make use of Copilot to surface the key business insights that are pretty much, hiding across my same week's emails, meetings, and data. And at the same time, a similar example of how can I turn all of that into one clear team update that I can have to make sure that everyone keeps aligned. Cool. Let me share my screen again to Copilot. I said, I'm Sam. I'm the team manager, and the reality for me is full inbox, a calendar that was back to back, and had a couple of meetings last week that had some important moments, but I can only half remember. And I also want to know how the team is doing, and on a normal day basis, like it's pulling all the information together is a pretty huge task for me. So and most managers, and at the same time, I had to report back these details back to my manager. Um, so I think most of the managers can actually relate. Most of us do walk in running on the memory, right? So
Mm.
so that's one of the things which we normally do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Copilot to help me solve or reduce the gap to gather all the information for me. So I've got a saved prompt again that I'm going to use. So I'm just calling it as manager morning summary, and here I'm gonna I want to specifically look at few informations, right? So I want to specifically look at some of my email folders to gather specific information. Oops, sorry. Let me do it again. So, oh, not this one. It's happening today. Manager morning summary. This is the right one. Cool. So I want to look at specific emails that I want to get information on, and at the same time, I want to look at my some of the sales pipeline details that the team has been updating. So I'm gonna refer a specific file here, as I said. Sales. Let me see if I can type sales. So there you go. So what I'm asking Copilot is, I'm asking Copilot to refer these data, and I'm asking Copilot to give me a briefing on what's happening across my team, what are the biggest wins, what are the top risks, what are the things that are slipping away, and is there any customer escalations that are happening, and are there any one issue that I need to raise with my leadership check-in today? So this probably the managers Monday morning, where they might have to go back to their leadership team, update about the team status, update about some of the numbers, and do some ask in terms of the blockers that we have. So I've added a really nice line towards the end, right? So I want Copilot to keep it to the things that actually need my attention. So as a manager, it's we will be managing lots of team members, and all the team members needs our attention as a manager. So it's important to look at each and everyone's request and in terms of where our attention needs to go in. So having this simple line is gonna keep me, prioritize in terms of where as a manager, I need to put my focus on. So let's see what Copilot comes back with a response.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see, like trusting our robot
Yeah,
here to really understand what's important to us as a manager.
yeah.
Not that I'm a manager today, but hopefully my manager's online watching how I deal with challenging situations.
Uh, I think I'm pretty sure I've got my new manager on online as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you do actually.
yeah. Okay. Nice. Uh, all right. So this pretty much took what 30 seconds or less than that for Copilot to get the information. Uh, and it is clearly categorized in terms of where, as a manager, my attention needs to go in, right? So it has highlighted we had some biggest wins. There's been some renewal deal that's been closed around 84K, which is a great win. And also, if you remember that the project manager work that's been managing, as a team manager, I've been able to get that status information as well.
Mm,
So it's been giving that staging has gone live, but there's been few issues to go into production. So it has been materially progressed. And what are the top risks, right? So that as a manager we need to be aware of, or in terms of what are the things that are slipping away. So it has clearly categorized the information that we ask for. And towards the end, and it has also prioritized the informations that I need to raise with my leadership team today. So it has given down a few details, so I could pretty much take this information and then go to my leadership meeting confidently and ask for these information. So this is really nice as a manager, to have the right data, getting to know about my team, getting to know what are the priorities, what are the challenges, and what are the issues that needs to be escalated, and so on. Cool. Now Sam knows what's happening, right? But knowing isn't always enough. That the team and the Sam's again manager need to know it too. So again, the last scenario which I would like to walk through is, and which pretty much every manager does every week, is to putting the status update to the teams and sending out to their managers and the wider team into a one clear update, which sort of helps to keep everyone aligned. So similarly, as a team manager, I use a weekly update template um, that I normally fill in. So this is probably the template that I have, which I send to my team and to my manager in terms of what are the wins this week, what are the things in progress, what are the risk and blockers, what's coming next week, and what are the things that are needed for my follow up. Right. So I'm going to use the same Copilot app within the Word document. And then this is going to be an interesting prompt, which I'm going to give here. So because I've been writing this team updates, every week, I want Copilot to refer back to my previous week's document, and and I want Copilot to make sure that the same structure, the same tone is being maintained, because I am new to Copilot, right? And I don't want to change the way how I write my template and how I share the details with my team back. So, and if you look at the prompt, uh, you can see, I'm asking Copilot to write my weekly team update straight into this document in the same style and structure as last week's. So this is an important thing. So this is going to maintain the same style as a manager, the same tone that we normally give the status updates to the team and to our leadership. Copilot is gonna maintain the same thing, and I've pretty much asked it to pull the details across, the
Mm.
teams and all the productivity apps, and and then fill this document. So I did miss covering this feature within Copilot. So within the Word, so you pretty much have two modes that you can use Copilot on. One is you can actually allow Copilot to edit on the document, or you can actually use a chat only feature, where again you will have to do the copy paste manual thing to the
Mm.
document. So in case you are reading a document and you just want to pull back some information within your M365 ecosystem. So that's the moment where you can use the chat only feature to refer back to some information while you are reading in another document. So, but in this case, I'm going to allow editing to this document. And as we did it earlier, we are going to track the changes to actually see Copilot doing it. Cool. And hopefully it should give me a summary again so that I could actually review it um, and approve before it actually edits. Cool. So it says it has created a preview using the information from my sources, and it's asking me to review it and everything. So the reason to have this one is, not all the wins might be relevant to the leadership team of us or to our managers. So there are a few wins which we have to celebrate within the team which we manage, and as a manager, it's our responsibility where we highlight only the relevant items or relevant risk, back to our manager. So it's really nice, where you can actually review the details and you can actually update the details or remove any information that we think it's not relevant on the status report and actually tell Copilot to make changes. So I'm just going to say add this text to the document.
Yeah, and I guess so your other option is there saying, oh, please remove certain sections not relevant, and
Yeah,
then before you add it into the document. Yeah.
yeah. Go. Awesome. As you can see, Copilot has done my updation, and I don't have to do any copy paste work or any manual typing. So it has pulled in the information from my Teams meeting across my all the teams that I manage, and all the informations that are relevant to me. And it has updated the status update document, and I could just send this document to my team and to my leadership, to give them an update in terms of what's happening.
Yeah.
Cool. So I
That's
think
great.
I think one of the bet that lands hardest is because everyone here writes some version of this update, right? So the point isn't just that it's faster, but it's that it now always gets done, even on the busy Friday. So you want, assuming you 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 have a habit of sending this update, on a Friday every week, and you get busy on a Friday always. Fridays becomes always busy. So you can make use of this Copilot, with pre-saved prompts and having this run every week on autopilot to make sure that your teams are aligned, your leadership stays happy, and at the same time, you keep them informed and updated.
Yeah, great.
Cool.
Barath, I just want to give you a heads up. We've got a few minutes left, but you
Awesome.
just mentioned it then, and I think you said you were going to come back towards the end and show us how to save prompts and schedule them. And
Yes.
Naomi Pierce is on the line, is also interested, as am I. So if you have time, do you mind just quickly taking us through that? I'm not sure
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm
sure.
interrupting you or if it's the right time to ask.
100%. So, in terms of how to save a prompt, it's pretty straightforward, right? So, assuming you create a prompt, a long prompt or a short prompt, depends on your specific need. And once you use the prompt first, and once you hover the prompt that which you have already created, you have this nice toggle button that comes
Ah,
on top of the prompt. So, and one of the option here is to save the prompt, right? So clicking on that button, You can give a title to the prompt, and then once you hit the save button, the prompt gets saved within the Copilot prompt library. And in
Prompt
terms of
library. You're going to show us
yeah,
exactly where that prompt library is again, aren't you?
yeah, yeah, it's probably one of the features, which is, I would say, slightly hidden. So whenever you start a new chat and you have this little dots here, that is
Oh my
basically the
gosh. Has that
prompt
been there
lab.
forever or is that new? Because,
It's not new. It's been there. As I said, it's probably slightly hidden
yeah.
within the app. So once you hit on the three dots, so that's where you get three options. Where it gives the options on the prompts that we have saved, and it gives the prompt suggestions. Right? Say
Mm,
you want to do some analysis and you are looking to write a prompt. So Copilot gives you that options. Some pre-built prompts that you can actually
mm,
use relevant to your project or relevant to your role that you do on a day-to-day basis. And these are some of the agent prompts that you can access as well from this. As you all know, Copilot has the capability to have agents and build agents within it, and each agent can come with different prompts and scenarios, so you can actually access those prompts within the whole prompt lab. So in terms of
mm.
how you access, how you save, this is probably the approach that you need to follow to save a
Yeah.
prompt and then reuse it again and again.
But on that, a
uh,
follow up, if I may, just because I feel like it's pertinent to this as well. When we want to schedule a
yeah,
prompt to run every Monday morning or every Friday afternoon,
yeah.
how do you schedule it? I'm assuming it's up there with the clocks, is
Same,
it?
same format, same process. You already had a prompt that you have tried and you want to save it and schedule it. You hover over it and you have an option called schedule this prompt. Cool. And then it gives you the schedule summary of
Ah,
what is the
nice.
frequency you need to do. Is it every day, every week, every month? Or are there any specific days that you want to exclude or include? And
Mm,
and and at the same time, it's a nice checkbox here where you receive an email once the scheduled prompt has run. So you get notified saying that, this prompt has
great.
completed running, so you can just go and have a look straight away.
Thank you. I think that's going to change Naomi Pierce and my life. So thumbs up, Naomi, if you're still on the line, and that's going to help you out. Thank you, Barath. Sorry to interrupt you just there, but yeah, we've only got 8 minutes or
Yeah,
7.5 minutes left. So how you
cool.
go?
Now we are coming towards the close of the slides. Can we get the slides back on?
Yeah. So Charlie, if you can just share the slide deck one more time, it's coming up. Hopefully, we just need some hold music. Here we go, and there we go. So I'm just going to let you want to take control,
Yeah, I want to take control.
Barath, and beautiful, and then move along to your slide. Yeah.
So, so we got a happy Alex, we got a happy Sam, and then we're
Happy
gonna
Sarah, because
quickly
the slide deck was
happy
working.
Sarah, yeah, yeah, slides working. uh, so I just want to quickly cover, so let's take a moment back. So let's try and pull all the four scenarios together because the same shift runs through all of them. In the old way of working, information sits in silos. It sits in threads, meetings, inbox, documents, and it is onto that specific team manager or project manager to be that integration layer. So where you do the reading, we do the stitching, the copying, the rewriting. So the whole process is actually slow. It's manual, and normally the important things gets missed. But whereas in the Copilot way, you describe the outcome you want, and the work of connecting the sources actually gets done for you. And the data that was scattered now becomes more coordinated with Copilot. And again, with the Teams meeting, so what was a conversation can now become an action. And as I said, with Alex and Sam, what normally will take an afternoon for them to gather the information now can just be minutes. So one thing to understand is Copilot doesn't give yourself or your team more information to work on. We all already have too much information and too much data that we are overloaded with. So it actually gives you that alignment and actually the time to actually act act on the data. So that's probably one takeaway which I want everyone to go back in terms of how Copilot can improve your ways of working, improve the productivity on a day-to-day basis, and actually see the value. So it gives us the time back to actually focus on the things that matter to us. And as a team manager, we need to look after the team. We need to make sure that everyone's aligned, everyone's are clear on their roles and responsibilities. So it actually gives us time back in the day that where we can focus on the things that really matters. Right. As promised, there are few simple prompts that I want to give as a takeaway, to everyone on this call that you can actually reuse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paste everything in the chat
And I'm sure people
quickly.
have got their phones out taking a photo of the screen right now,
Taking the
but
photos of it.
you'll
Yeah,
also get a recording sent to you via email if you've attended today. So that's another way to capture this.
yeah. Um, so while my file gets loaded up, I will just explain what are these simple prompts and why these are helpful. I mean, these prompts that you see on the screen are the exact similar prompts which we use in today's example or use cases, right? So the first one is a project pulse. As a project manager, to pull the status of a project across the Teams channel and the emails and everything. And the second prompt is having that meeting to momentum pillar, running on a day-to-day basis. So where you can actually assign the action items, assign the decisions to the right team members, and make them more, responsible for the task. And the last two other prompts are basically the manager's prompt, right? As a team manager, you want to keep your team aligned, and you can pretty much use this prompt to make sure that you get the single picture of what's happening with your team, what are the important things that you need to update to your leadership team, and make sure you as a manager you give the right direction to the whole team members. And the final one, which I probably use quite often when I go away, is whenever you go on leave, there are always tons of information that sits on your inbox, team messages that you need to catch up. So I pretty much have this prompt scheduled, whenever I go on a leave. So and then this prompt gets run once I'm back. So it sort of gives me the list of priorities that needs my attention, and so I could just focus on those priorities on an urgent basis, get the work done, and then move on to the other information that I need to catch up. So that's probably one of the things that might be useful, to catch up on all things.
Yeah, great.
And just to finish off, I just wanna, if you've been following up our Copilot series, this slide might be familiar, but I just wanna, reiterate or come back to the slide and give that few practical habits to remember when you're actually prompting to Copilot. It's important, for you to be specific. By default, you get the plain text, so you can say whatever you want, like if you want a table, just be specific to Copilot to say, I want this information to be in a table or on a bulleted list. Um, and make sure that you avoid any conflicting instructions when you are actually prompting to Copilot. So you don't want to change the subject abruptly when you are talking one topic within a chat, and make sure the jargon and the slang are also are also correct in a certain way. And one of the things is don't be afraid to ask Copilot, right? So in terms of what it needs to give you the best answer. So
Mm.
if you're stuck, you can ask Copilot to rewrite your own prompt for you. So there are a few other built-in agents within Copilot called Prompt Coach, which you can actually make use of to actually do it. And finally, I just want to cover to say that context is key. Make sure that you give the right context to Copilot, and so you get a good quality output back from the Copilot as well. So just few things to remember and few things to take back in when it comes to prompting, so that you can actually put through on your practical day-to-day basis. Cool. I think that's all from me for today.
Amazing. Thank you. Bharat, that was really informative. And I really loved those demonstrations today. I think with the content already set aside. It was a really kind of meaningful demonstration, I found, and the topics were great. Hopefully everybody else has joined that has joined us today has enjoyed it equally. There's a little poll that's just erupting in the chat, so if you don't mind, and if you can just pop in there and just answer those few questions, it helps us with feedback for today's session, but also to inform us on how to best prepare for our next session. So if you can just go in there and respond to that. And also, I just want to let you know that we will be back here again next month with a new topic, of course. So if you have any hot topics and you have an account manager, feel free to send them through. We're always talking about Copilot at KMT. We are sure you are as well. Thank you to Barath, especially for preparing such a beautiful presentation for us.